How often do you get imposter syndrome? Even after 15 years as a developer, I still feel like
I don't know shit about
This is normal, since gaining experience in a field reveals the huge number of skills you have to master. However, what if we are focusing on the wrong set of skills? What if we are getting distracted by all the noise and our acquired experience is actually irrelevant? Are we really becoming better developers in this case? This is an obvious issue in the front-end world where learning a framework is the #1 priority for most devs. Never mind a decade of complaints, reworks, and breaking changes in the framework space. Companies and developers are still betting on these bloated tech stacks, hoping for quick, short-term wins. The long-term results, however, are complex systems with tons of technical debt, hidden complexity, and various workarounds which are actually creating worse developers. Let me explain what I mean by that. This video was supposed to be a light-hearted overview of a small game written in Van.js, but the code Tao Xin is writing is fascinating in its simplicity. If you are not familiar with Van, this is an ultra-light reactive UI framework which offers all the functionality you would expect from a modern library in under 140 lines of code. Despite its tiny codebase, you can build anything with Van, including browser games. And this is what should raise some red flags. How come it is widely accepted to send tens of kilobytes of JavaScript to the browser to build a basic app, when options like Van offer almost the same capabilities in 900 bytes? To put things into perspective, let's take a look at the history of the most popular front-end framework. React started as a lightweight library to build UIs and, in the span of 10 years, went through the following phases. Use classes to define components and lifecycle hooks to run your own code in the React context. Deprecate class components in favor of functional components. Change the API and mark lifecycle hooks unsafe. Provide hooks like useMemo and useCallback to pass the burden of a poorly designed reactive system onto the developer. Finally, decide that the browser is not good enough to build UIs and introduce server components. This might be a hot take, but we are witnessing entropy in action. It's far more difficult to maintain and understand the React codebase now compared to 10 years ago, even though the problem we are solving is still the same and we have access to better hardware and more reliable internet connections. This is not a React rant. In all fairness, all other popular alternatives went through similar major reworks, with Angular announcing its second renaissance just a couple of weeks back. So, back to my question. Is fighting framework fires really making you a better developer? It seems to me that keeping things simple is way more difficult than maintaining a complex system, and if you really want to grow as a developer, you should try to achieve more by writing less. I, for one, can hold my own in any large React or Angular project, with piles of third-party libraries doing God knows what under the hood. However, I'm not so sure I could maintain Van's simplicity, Solid's elegance, or the original ideas behind a framework like Quick. If you want to explore some minimalistic frameworks in more detail, here are some videos you might like. Until next time, thank you for watching.